Welcome to the Blonde Beginner Jewellery Ring Making course. It's a course designed for beginners looking to make handmade rings. Many of you will have just received our ring making toolkit and are itching to get cracking. But before I tell you everything I wish I knew when I was starting as a beginner jeweller, I'm going to introduce both the course and myself. My name's Oscar and I'm the founder of Blonde. It's a small handmade jewellery label based out of Sydney, Australia. I've been running ring making classes for about 3 years through the brand and have taught literally thousands of students across Australia how to do exactly this. But most importantly, I started completely self-taught myself with a really basic set of tools and absolutely no idea how to use them. So I know exactly what you're going through. Along the way, we've hired a team of incredible jewellers, each of whom have taught me even more tips and tricks about how to get the most out of a beginner toolkit and how to make handmade rings. In this course, we'll start by running through the tools and exactly how to use every single one of them. We'll then start with a round wire stacker ring, teaching you the basics of ring making and easing you into the tools and techniques. You'll then be guided through a second style of ring making with thicker bands and more options for personalizations like textures, letters, numbers, and all sorts of custom add-ons. To finish, we'll give you a guide on the next steps you could take in your jewellery journey, as well as our recommendations for doing so. In this course, we'll start with the tools and setup and discuss how each one of them needs to be used. Okay, so I know you guys are probably itching to get started with all the tools laid out in front of you. I know I certainly was. But before we do, let's run through how we set up our tools and workspace at home. It's crucial to organise, so please don't skip this part because it's important that you're set up for success. I know when I started, it would have been helpful to know way more about each individual tool. We'll run through not only how to use them, but also give you an understanding of their strengths and limitations so that you can make the most of your creativity. Okay, let's set up our workspace. Before we do this, we need to make sure we have a clear space to work from, ideally a sturdy bench, desk, or table. Here's an example of what your layout could look like. You can set up your workspace however you like. As long as it's organized, it should work well. For those who have got our kits, we've included almost everything you need to get started, but there are a few items we can't or don't include in the box, and a few things you can find at home. These are butane gas, sandpaper, a ruler, Sharpie marker, paintbrush, some scissors and tape, and a glass of water. Butane gas. This is illegal to ship to you because of how flammable it is, but you will need it for operation of your butane gas torch. We recommend getting it from your local hardware store and getting one of the varieties with a short nozzle on the top to make refilling your torch a lot easier. This should cost you about $10 from your local hardware store. Next up, sandpaper. Again, get this from your local hardware store in a variety of 5 or 6 grits. The lower the number, the rougher the paper, and the coarser the grit. You want to stage these up in something like 300, 600, 800, 1000, and then 1200. Now onto our ring making toolkit. Here's a complete list of tools that are included inside of our kit that you'll need for ring making. I know it can be intimidating because there are so many, but bear with us, it will all make sense soon. Your ring sizer. This is a Blonde reusable ring sizer with the Australian and UK ring sizes written on it. Keep it away from the heat, you'll be needing this to measure up your fingers. These have the Australian and UK letter ring size system on them, but you can always use the chart in our digital assets pack to convert this to a different system if you like. Your ring sizer will come flat. To use it, simply clip it through the toggle and adjust the slider until it's snug on your finger. The sizer should be tight enough so that when you shake your hand around, it doesn't move, but you can still take it off over your knuckle without too much trouble. These are your dividers. They're used to measure and to mark. There's a twist toggle on the side that's used to adjust the length between the two ends. Safety glasses, included because we believe safety is sexy and cool. These are going to be essential for sawing, soldering, and hammering, but we recommend to wear them the entire time to protect your eyes. An emery stick and a spare piece of timber for making your own. You can make your own emery sticks using the sandpaper you've got from your local hardware store. We've included a pre-made emery stick to show you what yours should look like. To set up your emery stick, cut a piece of sandpaper and fold it around the stick so it wraps all the way around. Then ensure it's taut and tape down the top and bottom of the sandpaper to the stick. Swap the sandpaper out as you change grits or as your sandpaper wears out. Polishing papers. We've provided a small set of polishing papers to use after your sandpaper. These will help you reach a really nice bright shine on your brand new rings. We've numbered them 1 to 3 in the order that you should use them. Make sure you use the side without a number because the side we've numbered doesn't polish. Rouge cloth. This is the final cloth you'll use on your silver to make it really, really bright. You'll be polishing on with the red paper, which is embound with the rouge compound first, and then polishing off with the yellow side to remove it. The piece may appear to fog up slightly as you apply the red polishing compound, but it should return to that mirror finish after you polish off with the yellow side. Your solder pick. This is a titanium pick made to help you manipulate and move solder while it's hot. This tool can be used to hold or move solder in place while you're soldering. Because of the material, it won't melt or transfer, so it's a safe option if you want a little hand to hold your solder and help it towards its desired location. A sharp scribe, used for marking measurements or lines on your material. Your saw blades. These are used in your saw frame to cut through material. The 2 sizes we've included in your kits are 2 and 2.0. These are the most common for jewellery making. But you'll find saw blades come in a variety of sizes ranging from 8.0 to 8. The smaller the number, the finer the teeth in the actual saw blade. Smaller numbers are designed for thinner material and cutting more slowly, while larger numbers are going to give you coarser teeth, great for cutting through thicker pieces of material or generally more quickly. For general use, blades between 2/2 are good for most scenarios. Your saw blades will come wrapped in a fine wire, which you'll need to unravel before pulling out each individual saw blade. We've given you a bundle of 12 in each size. It's pretty common to break your saw blades while you're still learning, which is why we've included so many replacements. I'll be showing you how to set these up properly in your jeweler's saw, as well as how to replace them when they do break. This is your jeweler's saw frame. This is a fundamental tool for every jeweler, so you'll definitely want to know how to set this up properly. Start by adjusting this wheel here. It's going to allow you to adjust the length of your saw frame, which you'll want long enough to house a single blade between the top and bottom section. Then tighten the wheel back down firmly to lock the frame in place. Loosen the screws on the top and bottom of the frame. Next, carefully grab the blade at the top or bottom section where there are no teeth and place it into your saw with the teeth facing directly towards you and also facing downwards. I like to start at the top side of my frame and lodge it between my sternum and the table that I'm working on. Starting with the top screw, I'll tighten it and place the blade flat against the frame. We then need to create a bit of tension in the blade by compressing this end and this end together. I positioned the frame against my sternum so that I can lean in towards the table and slowly compress the frame. Once there's a bit of tension and the frame's compressed, I can then tighten down the bottom section of my frame. You need to make sure that you tighten the bottom screw while the frame is still under tension, so that when you release, the blade is stretched taut between both sides of the frame. You need to make sure that when you place pressure on the frame, you're doing it straight on so that it doesn't slip out to one side while you do this. To make sure the blade is taut, hold it up to your ear and pluck it from the back side to make sure it's making a high-pitched ring. At this point, all 3 screws should be secure and you should have tension in your blade. To replace a broken saw, reverse the steps. To start, loosen the top and bottom bolt and carefully remove the broken blade. Be careful of your fingers here because they can be sharp. These can be thrown out and your saw frame is all ready for a fresh blade. Next up is your bench peg and vise. They will come oily. This is totally normal and stops them from rusting. We recommend cleaning them up with paper towel before you get started. The bench peg is the third hand of every jeweler. This piece of wood is what we use to hold our metal or jewellery on while we perform tasks like sawing, filing, or drilling. These bench pegs are designed to vise on to the edge of your workbench. To do so, use the screw toggle on the bottom to attach it to the underside of your table or workbench, screwing it down until it's tightly in position. The bench pegs come blank, ready for you to customize however you want. Every jeweler will be different. We will show you how to do a basic V cut on your bench peg to help you hang on to your rings while you work on them. Grab your marker and draw a steep V in the middle of your peg. Then using the saw you just set up, make a cut in the wood following your line. When using the saw, use an up and down motion You want to make sure that you're using really, really light pressure with your saw frame and not trying to push through the material. This is the most important part. If you do jam your blade up, don't try and release it with force. Instead, gently find the angle that you were cutting at before and start again. This is your ring mandrel. It's also made of hardened steel and will come oily to prevent rust. Once again, we recommend just cleaning it up with a paper towel before getting started. Ring mandrels are used to make rings round and to check their size. You'll notice your one has the Australian and UK ring sizes written along the side. This is your nylon hammer. These hammers feature a nylon hardened plastic head on each side. The nylon's designed to be soft so as not to mark or dent your ring when you're hammering it. These hammers are most effective when held at the bottom and swung firmly. Over time, the plastic will wear down and begin to chip away as you use them. This is your ball peen hammer. These hammers are used for texturing and forming material because they have a much harder and heavier head. We'll also be using them to do our stamping later on. The flat side of the hammer is used to flatten or thin out pieces of material, while the rounded side is used to create texture. These are your files. Files cut when being pushed away from your body. They're used to remove material and clean metal quickly, but will leave scratches that will need to be polished out later on. We've provided you with 3 needle files and a rougher, larger file. Your 3 needle files will be half round, round, and triangular. All your files can be cleaned and maintained using a brass brush. This is your solder wire, which you'll find inside the blonde pouch. The easiest way to apply it will be to cut it up and apply it in smaller sections. The solder we've provided comes in a wire form, but you'll also find solder in paste or sheet varieties too. The solder we've provided is Easy Flow silver solder. You'll find that solder comes in easy, medium, and hard, which just refers to the temperature at which it melts. Because Easy Solder has a lower melting temperature than other forms, it's the easiest to use because you need the least amount of heat to actually get it to melt. Solder acts like a heat-activated glue, which will hold metal together. This is your flux. Flux cleans your metal in preparation for soldering. We've provided you about 50 ml of liquid flux. During the soldering process, it will clean the area and allow your solder to flow correctly. The flux provided is liquid and needs to be applied to your rings later on using a brush. You want to avoid all skin contact. Do not drink, do not inhale, do not chug. Handle this with care because it is a type of acid, and follow the safety directions on screen now. This is your soldering board. It's a heat-resistant board used during soldering. When you use it for soldering, make sure it's clear of any other tools and leave a space around the edges of the board. Please note it will retain heat, so don't touch it or put anything back onto it after soldering. It's also very fragile by nature, so please avoid hammering onto it or using it for anything other than soldering, as they will break. This is your micro butane torch. Please read the description on the box and also the instructions inside before using it. Once you've taken it out of the box and read the safety instructions, you'll notice that there's a safety plastic toggle here, which you'll need to remove before operating the torch. To fill and refill your butane torch, start by making sure the gas valve is turned all the way closed. Next, take off the bottom stand from your torch to expose the gas valve. Holding your butane vertically down, begin to insert the nozzle into the gas valve and apply pressure. Hold still in that position until you start seeing butane erupt from the valve and squirt out. It should take about 10 seconds to fill the torch fully. Then reapply the base of your torch and set aside for 5 minutes. It's critical not to turn the torch back on during this time in order to allow the gas to resettle inside the canister. When using the torch, it's important to handle it safely and seriously. Ensure that you're wearing your safety glasses at all times when operating it. Using the wheel on the left-hand side of the torch, turn it anti-clockwise to release the gas. You'll start to hear it hissing out of the torch. Once the gas is on, you'll be pushing the trigger button on the back towards the torch to ignite the flame. Ignite your torch with it facing directly towards the soldering block to avoid igniting anything unwanted. Once your torch is turned on, you can adjust the size of the flame using the adjustment wheel on the left. The gas flows from bottom to top, so when you're operating the torch, hold it upright while soldering. When you're finished using the torch, turn the valve off firmly all the way and listen out for any gas leaks. If you can still hear gas, it indicates the valve is not completely shut yet. This is your steel stamping block. It comes with a rubber base to absorb impact. It's used for stamping and hammering on top of. The metal surface takes the impact of hammering letters and also helps you flatten out material if necessary. These are your round nose pliers. They'll be your best friend when making jewellery. We'll be using them later to help manipulate and bend our metal. The other set of pliers you'll have are flat nose pliers. Not great for bending, but awesome for holding onto things when working. These are your letter and number stamps. We've included a set of letters and numbers for personalizing the rings you make later on. So that is everything included in your jewellery toolkit. We're now going to tell you how to use all of these tools to make your rings.